I've heard a lot of people say, like, complain about, like, oh, TikTok, like, ruined writing sessions and stuff like that. But I feel like it didn't. And people are just, like, complaining.
The 502s have been lighting up stages all around the world, from Lollapalooza to sold-out tours in Europe. And their electric energy has earned them a reputation as an amazing live band. But that doesn't happen without a hit song, and their track, Just a Little While, is exactly that. With over 75 million streams on Spotify and viral status on TikTok, Just a Little While has created a movement around the 502s. But what does it take to have a viral hit like this one? Let's dive in and take a look.
So I have Matt here with me from the 502s. We worked on this record together, and this is the first time that we've looked at this session since we finished the recording. And in this video, we're going to be covering the mindset that goes into the recording process of a hit song, what goes into writing a hit song, and what you can do to increase the odds of having your own hit song. So let's go ahead and pull up the session and get to work.
And I said, wait just a little while and tell me where you've been. I've been staying up at night, thinking about it. And it's been oh so long that I've been feeling like this. And I know that I've never been more sure.
So if you didn't know, I'm Adam, and I actually engineered the 502s record that we're going to be talking about today. And Matt is in the band as well as a producer, which is something that you don't see every day.
Thanks.
So
man.
we're going to just go ahead and dive right in. And the first thing I see when I look at this, everything is organized. Everything is labeled properly. The sections of the song are named appropriately up here with the markers, and the tracks are all just named what they actually are. And if we used, like here we had a trumpet with 3 mics on it. We named this one Trumpet 2 Close, this one Trumpet 2 Room, this one Trumpet 2 Reverb, which was like a mic in the other side of the room. You know, like if someone says, hey, pull up Trumpet 2, Chorus 2, like you need to be able to find it.
So we have been playing this song for a lot longer than people have known about it. We actually used to open all of our shows with this song. And part of the fun of it is that it's got this great like call and response with like the banjo, you know, Eddie's banjo strumming, which starts everything off. And it's got this kind of like awesome like folky gospel kind of bounce to it, you know, and then the whole band is responding, but like everything as I was producing it, I was trying to really lock into this banjo rhythm, and like everything else that goes with like the drums and the bass kind of came from this, you know, just this musical idea of the banjo.
Yeah, so let's play everything together for a second, and then we'll solo the banjo too. So yeah, on this one, we've got 2 mics on the banjo. We have a SM57 close up, and then we have a room mic further back, which was a condenser mic. And I think we really wanted to capture like this smallest banjo sound that we could, so that when everything else kicked in.
Yeah, it sounds very vintage, and you know, it's just, I don't know, so homey. There's something that's so great about the way that this was recorded.
Yeah, and if we were doing like a folk album where it's like, oh, we want the banjo to be this big pristine thing, then we would have mic'd it up totally differently. But I think the 57 just kind of gets that like honky rhythmic sort of thing captured really well. We can kind of zoom out from the banjo. We actually tracked the drums and the bass and the acoustic guitar, all 3 together. So we can go ahead and like solo those, and look, they're all grouped together.
Oh, beautiful.
All the live instruments.
You hear that rhythm that's from the banjo, bum ba dum ba dum bum ba dum. It's just like driving the whole thing.
Yeah, and when you bring the banjo in, it just makes so much more sense.
Perfectly locked in.
And that's something that I think a lot of people don't understand about arrangements, is when you want to highlight like one specific thing. Like the banjo is the cool part of this intro. Having the acoustic guitar and the bass and the drums just kind of playing like a simple.
Listen to that bass part. It's literally just chord notes all the way through.
Yeah, it doesn't get much simpler than that.
I mean, it just makes you want to move. Like you can't You can't not groove a little bit when you hear that. The drums, the bass, the acoustic. I think when I first came to you and said like, hey, we want to use your studio to do this, that was probably the most important like thing at the top of my list, because there's just something about capturing people playing live together that it's really hard to mimic, and there's just like such a palpable energy to it. I think that's, I don't know, if anybody's playing with a band out there, I always recommend as much as you can to get live takes together.
Oh, I have a confession. I don't think we ever talked about this. The kick drum mic fell over before this take, and I didn't notice. But then everyone was like, oh, that take was the one. And so then y'all went to lunch, and I did a little surgery. So we've got, this is the raw kick drum.
Oh my gosh.
Because the mic just like fell out of the hole.
I'm hearing this for the first time. That's amazing.
I know. I was just like, if I can fix it, we don't have to worry about it. So
that's
in the
really
mix,
funny.
You know, you would never know. Because
so you triggered it to a sample
I
of
put
the
a huge
kick drum?
gate, and then put a trigger on it, and then I EQ'd out a lot of the woofiness.
It's a good time to make that confession, Adam. You know, like 50 million streams later or wherever.
Hey, all I'll say is it didn't, affect the performance of the song, because we were able to.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, it just goes to show that, it's really about the performance more than anything.
Yeah. But if it sounded busted, I would have said, "Hey guys, bad news. We got to do one more take.
Run it back." We probably could have pulled it off.
This was take 4.
Okay.
It wasn't, that deep.
Yeah.
But with the whole drum kit, you can hear the kick sounds pretty good.
Oh,
but then if I bypass these, it's pretty gross.
Little more garage bandy.
A little. So yeah, sometimes you have to do a little bit of audio surgery, a little trickery. So we had all these horn stacks that we did. When you listen in the whole mix, like, it sounds like it's really just like 3 notes, but then there's a lot of movement that kind of goes from part to part. Matt, you like arranged all this, more or less. What's going on in your head there?
Yeah, I mean, I come from, like a school band and arrangement background, so I probably had an idea for like 1 or 2 of these, 20 or however many tracks that you have in here. And then as we're in the studio, I'm kind of hearing different harmonies as the players are, actually doing their takes. So a lot of these, if I remember correctly, a lot of those little movements that you're talking about were kind of happening on the fly. Like I would just hear, like, let's give one of these.
Yeah, so we can pull up a lot of them.
I'm remembering more as I'm listening to these isolated. So the main piece of it is just that ba ba ba. So that's like the main kind of chordal harmony of the song. But then it gives this kind of cool, almost like Doppler effect, like the marching band is moving like around you when you have like half of the horns are changing on that second measure rather than just holding it all the way through. And I love the way that we captured that here.
Yeah, and then even in the chorus, there's like...
I will say I'm also thinking about my piano part on top of it too. So
this is so like regal, you know?
So like you can still hear the song when you take these instruments together, because I'm really hammering in that banjo rhythm.
Yeah, and it all just like builds one thing on top of another, but nothing is really like trying to fight for the spotlight.
Right.
Which leaves a nice space for the vocals too, because when it all comes together, you have,
Said wait just a little while and tell me where you've been. I've been staying up at night thinking about it, and it's been oh so long that I've been feeling.
Yeah, I mean it's like a big loud orchestra again, but ultimately it is all just trying to create a nice, beautiful, warm bed for all those vocal parts to lay in, and that's I mean we always had a really good feeling about the song, because anytime we would play it for people, they'd be like, yeah, I love that chorus, it's so catchy. And so obviously all the parts around it had to be just as beautiful. It varies song by song and like what kind of flavor that we're trying to go for. And like with this one, again, like as a piano player and coming from like almost approaching this like a gospel song and making it like really bouncy. I'm just kind of trying to really emphasize what the banjo is doing. And then I see you've got the organ pulled up here too. So this is definitely more on like the sustain side.
And this is for the audio dorks. This organ is real.
It is a real organ.
It was a real organ. We had a real Leslie.
Yep, I have a video of me playing that too.
We'll put a clip.
Yeah.
But this was stereo, and I'll push these up.
So there you hear the horn parts, right? Like, so this is probably the horn melodies that we started with. Put in a little 7th in there.
And it just gives like a nice energy to the whole thing and like kind of glues everything together because the organ doesn't have any gaps. But you can see like here the banjo has all this choppiness.
Right.
And the piano has a lot more. So this sustain kind of gives it a nice bed to like all hang out on top of. But yeah, so we've got, horns, keyboards, banjo, all of it. But, we're talking about vocals at the end of the day. That's what people love lyrics. They love vocals. I found it interesting. We didn't tune any of these vocals, which in a year that starts with 20 is a choice.
It's a rarity for sure, but I think also, it kind of speaks to the authenticity that people are looking for in our genre. And, you look at even like folks like Zach Bryan and Noah Kahn and, Charles Wesley Godwin and like all of these people who, I don't know, there's something that's like really ineffable and undeniable about, somebody who's like actually just giving you kind of their raw voice. Eddie is just definitely one of those guys. It's awesome to watch him cook.
So I'll play real quick. Let me copy the settings over. We recorded on 2 mics at the same time because we knew that it was going to be like a quick one take sort of thing.
Yeah.
So we did the VMS, the Slate modeling mic, because I wanted the flexibility to kind of choose later on, like, okay, we like the character of a C800 or we like the character of a U87, U47, whatever it is, so this is just like a very transparent mic.
When you pulled on mine and knocked that drink from your hand onto the floor and then ran the theater 8 and you hid behind the door.
Something else too is that we didn't cut out anything even in between the words, so you've got all like the breaths and
oh yeah,
it's like it's not something that you would probably hear on your first or even your 100th listen to the song, but we're just really committed to doing things for real.
Yeah, and then here is the contrast. I also used an SM7B, one of these actually. Just because it offers like a different character.
When you pulled on mine and knocked that drink from your hand onto the floor and then ran the theater 8 and you hid behind the door.
Yeah, you can really hear like the punch of the voice with that 7B.
Yeah, it has a little less like detail in the kind of like granular side of things, but we ended up going with the VMS. So what's interesting is the Slate VMS, like I said, is a modeling mic actually. And we have all these different tube mics we can pick from, but we actually just left it the regular unmodeled mic. So when we sent it off to mix, it was just clean. Like we didn't have any of these mic models on it, which I think is kind of interesting. So we did the modeling mic and didn't model a mic. We got no Melodyne, no auto-tune, no nothing. Just this is the vocals.
Baby.
All natural, baby.
Organic.
They said it couldn't be done, but it was done.
They didn't know the 502s.
They didn't know the 502s. That's just true. So we can play through the kind of full vocal arrangement because it's pretty simple, but you get some ear candy with like the group vocals.
Stop laughing when you pulled on mine and knocked that drink.
And then the harmonies.
And I said, wait just a little while and tell me where you've been. I've been staying up at night thinking about it. And it's been oh so long that I've been feeling like this. And I know that I've never been more sure.
There's another little bit of the arrangement in those vocal harmonies there at the end that you can kind of hear.
Yeah, it gets a little jazzy.
Right. Yeah, just trying to make it almost sound like a big horn crescendo, a horn section playing together.
So now what we could do is I can actually flip between the session and then what actually came back as a mix and master, which I think will be interesting to show the difference, because obviously we didn't mix this. And it came back to us as a beautiful final product. So let's go ahead and play a little bit of the real finished mix, and then I'll just kind of toggle back and forth.
Late nights in a wild town, we go out, roaming around, holding your head in my hand. Friday nights felt like it never ran. You were Miss Hollywood, I was your chic chauffeur. Take you where you wanna go, get you there nice and slow. You looked up at me.
So right off the bat, the first thing I notice is the low end is just super tight on that mix, and the vocal has that cool like kind of effect on it. Not like a telephone effect, but it's like approaching that.
Yeah, like an old radio almost. I mean, what I hear is the brightness of the horns and the organ part, especially the high end of the organ on the master, which like you can't even practically hear on the just on the tracked performance, but it really gives you this. I mean, it's just like one of many elements that gives you the sense that this is like a huge marching band, like marching their whole parade right into your house.
100%. And even for like the mixers out there who are watching, you can hear the organ so much better on the final version than on what our rough mix was. That's a decision that was made by the mixer to say, hey, this organ is cool,
yeah,
and I want to hear more of it, so I'm going to push it up. Like taking those decisions into your own hands can really make the song a lot better. And it's a big difference between the session that we sent and the actual final master. And taking creative liberty and like making decisions to make the song better at every stage is what really kind of pushes it into that area where it can be like a hit song,
Yeah, I mean, we're very lucky as a band to have, I mean, we're a big band already, so we naturally have like kind of a big team, but we have like great people around us at like every stage in the process, and people who have kind of a creative voice that can help us even bring better results out of ourselves that we didn't know were there. It's really cool to see all of the I mean, how many different tracks are actually on this thing, and I think that kind of contributes to just the overall sound and feeling like it's like a whole neighborhood that's kind of coming at you. Part of like all the different techniques that you use as the engineer to take even like a single performance from a horn player or my piano or organ or anything, and give that kind of the fullest possible sound by recording it from close up and further away and even another room. It kind of gives you almost like a sense of space, like when you're listening to it, that it just like just like wraps you up and gives you a nice big warm hug.
So with most viral songs, obviously TikTok is the place that they're initially getting discovered, and y'all had some luck with this song kind of taking on its own life on there. What was that like, and kind of tell me about like how that went for you guys, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, our first experience with having a big song on TikTok was with our song Magdalene, which was from the same album that you recorded. And that was just a clip of us playing the song and singing and having a good time. And people really, responded to that. And it was really cool. That's what kind of got us our initial audience. And so, it kind of made us buckle down and do even more performance videos, including for Just a Little While. This was like a much bigger trend than that, because it actually started from people using the song in their own videos and kind of like recapping, here's my fall semester experience in 15 seconds. And, then so that went, super viral among a bunch of college kids. Then it kind of caught on with other folks. Like you'd see people on riding a horseback or taking a big trip to Belgium or going on a roller coaster and soundtracking it all with Just a Little While. So seeing the song be the soundtrack to all these awesome experiences that people were having, it really kind of validated the spirit of what we tried to do as the band, and to be the soundtrack to good times. It's kind of what we aimed for. And yeah, I mean, it really changed our lives permanently. I think we went from, all of us having other jobs and, just kind of doing music as much as we could. And going on tours when we were able to all of a sudden having a ton of attention on us, and being able to build a bigger team and get with a large management company and agency, and then Bonnaroo and Lollapalooza, and major tours in North America and Europe, and it's awesome, and we are able to now even put out more music, so that's kind of what it's all about.
And this is something that I more so wanted to bring up, but I'm sure you can weigh in on as someone who's written songs that have gone viral on TikTok a few times. But I've talked to a lot of songwriters and even seen people online. I've heard people be like, oh, I was in a session and somebody was like, we need a part that could go on TikTok. And when I hear that, I'm just like, they're basically trying to say what part of this song is actually good or catchy.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that there is some, effect of kind of like the overall shortening attention span. But at the same time, you talk about being a producer, and it's really like looking for, like you said, like what's the good part of the song and creating moments that make people excited. That's something that Ed and I talk about all the time.
You don't have to like embarrass yourself to go viral.
Hopefully not. If you want to be known for embarrassing yourself, then that's one route to go. I have so many thoughts on this. I think the number one thing that people respond to is authenticity. And the one thing the 502s have always done since we started was make music that we were really excited about, and not being satisfied with something being like just okay or even just good. We had to feel like it was really great, and even after the songs were written, then thinking about how we wanted to present it to people, how we wanted to make a video. And at that point it's like, okay, so we've got the song and the lyrics and we all know our parts and whatever, but like, how can we make this really magical? Like, do we start the video and we're all clapping together? What kind of magic moments can we create with the camera work, and just kind of extending the creativity into that. And I think, over the past, 7 years that I've been in the band, we're just like constantly trying to outdo ourselves, but also really just like whatever makes each other laugh, like what makes each other like happy, that's just kind of how we think about it. Like we start almost by like entertaining each other first, and typically those are the things that create moments that other people respond to.
Well, a lot of people get wrapped up in, I think, their art from like the bottom up instead of the top down, or maybe vice versa.
Yeah.
Where they have their song, they have their video, and they come to me and they say, hey, what can I do to blow up on TikTok with this song or with this video? And they'll be like, well, I posted it 10 times and I tried all the different hours. I uploaded it when it said that my followers were online, and I used all the best hashtags. And it's like, okay, well, play me the song. And if you just play me the song and I'm bored, then it's not going to be the right hashtag or the right caption or the right hook on the screen that's going to blow up your song. Because if that's all that it took, then I could just go on TikTok and watch 20 videos and say, well, that hook did good, and that guy uploaded it at 3 p.m.
Right.
Now I'm going to put my mediocre song on there. Like, you have to start in the songwriting process, not thinking, okay, how can I go viral on TikTok? But like, is this song actually as good as all the other songs that came out this week?
Yeah, 1,000%. Marketing music has always been, kind of different from the job of making music itself. They're both creative. And I think that, in a lot of ways, there's never been a better time to be an artist, because you have so many tools at your fingertips to get your work in front of people. But it also is a challenge, and it uses kind of a different side of your brain and your spirit. And there's not that many people that have, the talent to be able to know, how to make great marketing content, let alone, make a great song. And I will say something in the 502s that we've always talked about that connects to both sides of that equation. Eddie always talks to me when he's writing a song. The first thing that he'll tell me is, I want this song to feel like a party or a parade, or I want this to be a song that I listen to when I'm on a late night drive, or whatever it is the feeling. We always start with the feeling that we're trying to create, and that is kind of the direction that I always encourage people to try and think about if they're making their own content for their music, if they're trying to get their stuff out there. It's like, what is the feeling that you want to give people? And, that I feel like it's maybe hopefully kind of a code that can unlock, more, that can unlock things on both the songwriting and the marketing side of things.
So we've talked a lot about how you can go viral, but as we said, you are not going to go viral with a song that doesn't sound great and get people to really feel emotion. So if you need help doing that, then check out this video right here.